Hey everybody, Sara Gallegos here on the set of the 3800 series of Love of Quilting. And today we have been having lots of stitching fun with Debi Kuennen-Baker from PFAFF.
We have. We've had a lot of fun with stitches.
That's right. You've always got multiple stitch techniques to inspire us with. We can never get to all of it in the body of the show, so we thought we'd spend a little bit of extra time playing with stitches here.
Yeah, and we were talking about quilting and how you can use something other than a straight stitch.
Right.
So quilting, basically quilting with your walking foot or quilting with your feed dogs up and using your built-in walking foot has gotten to be very, very popular in the last couple years. And it's great for people who either want an alternative to free motion or maybe you're just a little shy about trying that free motion quilt.
Right.
So we did a straight stitch, but you'd be amazed at how many even just your basic utility stitches. One of my favorites is actually that 3-step zigzag. And I come in and I do some changes. I make it wider, just so I cover more area quicker. And I do elongate it.
Yeah. Sometimes adjusting your stitches can really make them stitch faster. I mean, if you're
Well,
doing a
and
whole
it can
quilt,
change
that's
the
nice.
whole look of a stitch. So here, and I'm using definitely a contrasting thread, but I'm going to just stitch a partial row here because when I come in and I do this, I don't try to make my rows mirror each other. In fact, I like it when they don't. So when I'm stitching this, I don't try to make them match. In fact, I like it better when they don't.
It's really visually distracting if you try to make something perfect and it's off just by a little bit. So I think that if you give yourself grace and don't even try, sometimes it just looks easier on the eye. That's fun.
Well, have you ever heard the rule, you know, if you make a mistake, make it 3 times and then it's intentional?
I like it. That's a great rule. That's
So
really
again,
fun.
you can make these touch each other. You can stitch them, you know, with a little distance in between, but it makes a great looking quilt stitch. Yeah. Now again, if we were using it, had either a nylon monofilament in our top or a thread that matched our background, you'd only be seeing texture.
Right.
But unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to see it on the camera.
Right. So while a machine like this has tons and tons of beautiful decorative stitches built in and a lot of meant for quilting, you don't have to have that many stitches. You can use some of your basic utilitarian stitches too.
It's amazing how many of them you can use.
Or use them all.
Or use them all. Now, we also have a category of quilt stitches, and look at all these beautiful stippling stitches. So again, I can come in, choose. This one's a very interesting one because it basically sews a few straight stitches, and then it sews a spiral.
Looks like lollipops to me.
It does kind of look like lollipops, doesn't it? No wonder I liked it. And we have stitches that are directional. They cover more area. But there's a wealth of different stitches in the machine that you can use.
Really fun, really fun. And then you had a neat little technique on how you can actually modify the built-in stitches too, right?
Yep. We have what's called Stitch Creator. So when I go into Stitch Creator, I have 2 options. I can either create a stitch from scratch or I can take an existing stitch and change it.
Wow.
And a prime example of that is just a basic straight stitch. You know, with just the touch of a button right here, I've turned that from a straight stitch into a triple stitch. And I can do that with basically any stitch. So now we have a beautiful triple stitch.
That's fun. So then it gives you the look of a heavier hand stitch perhaps.
Right.
But just by going over itself 3 times.
And again, you could do that with your blanket stitch. You could do this. So maybe you have a particular blanket stitch that you like. Turn it into a triple stitch. Make it look like you've done it with embroidery floss instead of a normal thread.
Really pretty. Well, thank you so much for joining us once again and sharing so many great tips with us.
Well, thank you for inviting me back.